Hey, welcome to the pre-show hangout. We're all just hanging out. How's it going, everybody?
I got the other cat for the cat cam. There's a little
Excellent.
eyes.
Oh yeah, I was like, I don't see, is it in that shadow? It is that shadow.
Ember, there you are. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
All right, that's muted. Okay. I'm ready.
I'll sit here.
Except for the part where I'm
It'll
eating my dinner.
screw up Yang Yang, but Yang Yang, I'll be here. But I'm moving over here for the cat.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll adjust around you live. I always do like 3 or 4 adjustments for people as they like shift around in their seats as we play.
Yeah. Well, we do shift around in our seats a lot. It's true. So,
Strixhaven, right?
yeah. I saw a comment online. Someone said, is anyone else upset that we're not getting like another campaign setting, like an old classic D&D campaign setting? I'm like, you just had Ravenloft. It came out like a month ago.
Yeah. I think everybody just really
New
wants
old
Spelljammer.
settings.
Yeah, I understand. Spelljammer is the unspoken thing that people are like, yes, this, now, yes. And
Yang, what would you do if they came out with the 5e Spelljammer? That's your favorite, right?
Yeah. I mean, we would definitely start a second stream. I would just produce it and fund it entirely myself.
like the second they announced it, I would expect a PM from Yang Yang saying, okay, so we're dropping the irregulars to once every 2 weeks. And we're going to intersperse it with my Spelljammer game that I am going to run, or that you, Eric, are going to run so that I can play in it.
Yes. I've already pre-ordered the book for you, each of you.
Oh my
You
God.
just find it in your mail shortly.
Shortly. Yeah.
I mean, if I have to,
Yeah,
I
we'll
will
see.
run it for myself and play it myself.
That's a feat. That's impressive.
Yeah. Especially if I manage to outwit myself somehow.
I'm starting to think that Spelljammer is the Half-Life 3 of D&D. And everybody's like, oh, when is it going to happen? It's going to happen. It's been confirmed. No, it still hasn't.
Maybe.
Yeah. So actually, like my big thing is Planescape. Like I love Planescape. Admittedly,
Well, that's right.
yeah, admittedly it is because of the PC game like Planescape Torment, and not because I played any TTRPGs of versions of it. I'm so just oh my god, it's so good. So many good feels just from that cover.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they ever did Planescape, I would really lose my shit.
That box set was one of the first second edition things I ever owned, actually. I don't know why. I just liked the cover and I liked the idea. So, and my first games that I ran were Planescape games.
Yeah, I was thinking if I ever had to do a one-shot special, for this group, either it would be in the city of Sigil, or it would be, what were we talking about? The Hispanic dramatic, what do you call it? Telenovela.
Telenovela.
Yes. Either
I
or.
still want
Very
to do the
different.
telenovela.
I mean, it could be
Wow.
both.
I feel bad
guess.
that I mixed up Planescape and Spelljammer, because I feel like I knew your favorite was Planescape, and I was like, it's Spelljammer.
I
Well,
also
there's
love Spelljammer.
There's a lot of overlap between those things, though.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
I feel like a bad friend right now, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry.
Aw.
Also, why
I was
not do
very
both? Telenovela, Planescape.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Do you even know me?
I'm gonna bring this and figure out a way to throw it at the screen safely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's gonna work. I think there's gonna have to be like a plastic screen, but I feel
mean,
like
you're-
that's really necessary.
Your character could just have like a supply of drinks, like a magic item where it's like a glass is always full of booze or chilled martinis.
That's what-
and then
that's-
your weapon is to fling
This
it.
is what Celia uses it for, because she, except for a particular exception, is not a big drinker, but she would totally throw
Yeah.
drinks in people's faces for emphasis in the telenovela world.
Easy run mascara.
Yes.
So,
Needs some,
so-
like, wicked mustaches too.
speaking of Cecilia, I seem to think that Aaron is wearing a new shirt
I am. This is the fun shirt they got me for my birthday, which you may have seen me wear this
Heyo.
morning.
Nice.
Yay.
Totally
you
not a
again, guys.
warlock. Every week, someone in the chat is like, "Witch? What is that? What mechanics
rules are
is that using?"
Yeah.
They're like, what's that subclass? I don't know that. It's like, that's because it's bullshit.
Did you guys just hear my my Google Assistant respond to
No.
that? Okay, interesting.
No.
it's
Okay,
always
but now
listening.
I'm curious.
Hey Google, what is a witch?
No, I already turned it off.
Dang it. Hey Google, what's Yang Yang's credit card number? No.
If you could Google that, oh my goodness.
If you could Google that,
Problems.
you have more problems than us announcing it on our pre-show hangout.
Yeah. So is there a D&D setting that they have not done a book for that y'all really wish they would? What's your guys' tops?
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to join you on the Planescape train. I think I would
Alright.
really enjoy that. I did some 4E work on Planescape sort of stuff too, so
Ooh,
big fan. I was one of the writers on Plane Above. I wrote all the hell stuff.
so lucky.
I love
Yes,
how
the hells
confused
were in
people
the
get.
Plane Above. Yeah.
Exactly. I love how confused people get when you say that. It's like, no, the hells are actually up, basically, except that's also sort of a metaphorical up.
Mm-hmm. Although one could make a good argument for Dark Sun as well.
Ooh, Dark Sun. That's
think,
also a really cool one.
I want to say one awesome thing about Dark Sun is that it would make the Ranger very useful.
Totally. Totally.
I just so much of my early D&D experience was on like the Genesis or the Commodore 64. So you know,
I mean, if I
a
had
lot
to,
very
like,
pixelated and
say something, I would say something like Vampire the Masquerade and get booed off the.
So what
As
you're
a-
saying is you
as
want
a
to play
teen.
a Ravenloft game where everyone is a vampire.
Sure, as a teen, and not just vampire, but werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
At that time,
Okay.
I think it was Werewolf the Apocalypse.
The
Yeah.
ghost one.
The ghost one?
Oh, I'm gonna look this
Oh,
up in the
Wraith?
chat. People spit it. Wraith? Is it Wraith? Where
The-
you're
Yeah.
like you have a ghost and then you have your shadow,
And it's a
and someone
the
else
White
plays
Wolf
your
game?
shadow. Yeah, I had never heard of this.
Wraith
I did not-
incredibly depressing. Yeah.
I did not start playing role-playing games until I was an adult because nobody invited me because that's how it was where I grew up. And so I didn't get a lot of this. I don't have nostalgia for these things because I didn't know about them until I was in my 20s, and then I've slowly been learning about them. But I like the idea of you play you and someone else plays your shadow. Like, that's interesting. But
That's
that's
interesting.
I guess it's not D&D, so it
Yeah.
doesn't count.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have a lot of trust. Like you can't just do that with a stranger.
Oh,
right?
no.
Like, you're risking a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, you have a lot of trust because it's like not even just not a stranger. It's like if I feel like, particularly if you're a player who cares a lot about story and is maybe like, I don't know, if you're a really good improver, you just roll with it, right? But there's a little like, no, you didn't understand what I was doing. Problems.
I seem to think White Wolf was one of the early game design companies that tried to break those barriers between players a little bit, or not
Mhm.
break them, but just make them permeable so that you would have to connect with people more in order to play the game in a way that served the story and made everyone have a good time
Yeah.
with mixed success.
Well,
So-
and I was playing White Wolf as a LARP too.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
a whole other.
And it lends itself very well to that.
Yes.
So yeah.
Though I will still do my rock paper scissors behind my back to this day. From the LARP training. Because in the at least how we did the LARP, you had to have it behind the small of your back so that you couldn't see it as you threw it.
Mhm, mhm.
And it just that feels right now. You can't just like do it out here. I mean, come on.
Okay, Rhiannon, as a
Yeah.
Vampire the Masquerade fan, I really need to ask you like what your very first experience with Vampire the Masquerade was like, and how old were you? Because like I just recently went to an online party where two people started talking about Vampire the Masquerade and how much they loved it, but both of their first experiences were like LARPing, dressing up, meeting a bunch of strangers in the middle of the night, next to a dumpster behind a fast food restaurant. I don't know, like that seemed to be the
Oh
meeting
my
spot, like in the 90s or
God,
early 2000s.
like,
That
Through
tracks.
time, I
Yeah,
can
that
hear
checks
my
out.
mother start screaming.
Yeah.
I mean, it was I did it at undergrad, so freshman year, like I was doing the thing where it's like I've come to a college, I have no friends. How do I find friends? And I probably would have done a tabletop group, but like the LARPers like put big posters up on campus so I could see the posters as opposed to like trying to network in for a tabletop of anything else. So I mean, I tended to leave like before the end of the night because you could get campus escorts if it let out at like midnight and you didn't want to walk back across campus. I was living on campus
Oh,
in a
wow,
dorm.
nice.
But I didn't really want to bother, so I usually left at a time where I'm like, yeah, it's not that late. Just walk across campus. So, I mean, to a certain degree, like I didn't stick with it once I used it to make other friends, and then I tabletop gamed with them because I was
Mhm.
very shy.
Mm.
And LARPing was not really like for me, but it did get
Yeah.
me to like meet people.
Well, apparently, and I am not a LARPer, so I'm not going to speak with any authority here, but apparently LARPing can be a way to kind of like bring out that side of you because you're not having to be yourself. You can, portray a different character and such. It doesn't work for everybody, obviously.
But, that's what drama did for me in middle school.
Yeah.
What
high
you
school.
don't don't say.
Really?
What plays were you in? I'm curious.
What plays were I in?
Do you remember?
The first one I was in a Moliere. I
Oh,
was
nice.
in, gosh, I should know. Like, they all blur together. There was, I think, yeah. What plays were I in? Oh, I did children's. We did a children's. I was in a children's theater group that traveled around to like all the elementary schools and put on plays for the kids. So I was in a couple
Oh,
like
nice.
Pinocchio and other things. So that was fun. Yeah,
Is
I
there
went
one
to.
that stands out as your favorite of all of them? If it's hard to be like, tell me everything.
No, it's weird that I'm like completely blanking on all of the plays that I've been in.
Well, I want to know
see
your
costumes.
role, not just the play. Tell me the role that you had in it, and then if you have
Yes.
pictures, you must share these pictures so I can share them with the internet.
Okay, I'll share. I have one I can think of. That's from, and I think it's because
yeah.
I even think it's from the Moliere because I mean, period costume and stuff. But
Yes.
velvet and ruffles.
We're just going to use that as your character art for your next character, by the way.
Sure.
I think I have some, since this is my parents' house, some of my high school, the posters for our plays.
Oh, cool.
Okay, what was your favorite?
So there was one with, we did one per year, so that was 4. So that's why it's a little bit easier to remember what all they were. I had a big part in Arsenic Cold Lace, but I
love
was-
Arsenic Only.
I was like, I couldn't really inhabit the role because I was really young. And it was, so I played it like very, very, very chaste. It would have been better rather than the like young woman part if I'd been like an elderly lady part, really. But like, I thought I was totally perfect for it. So.
Look, anybody who judges high school theater needs to be judged back like 100-fold and like shamed before society. Like, you're an innocent
It's
baby.
a different metric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're doing great. Just even getting on that stage, you're doing great.
Yeah,
I
we
played-
edited
yeah.
out the kissing because I wasn't willing to do it.
What'd you do instead of the kissing? Did you just give him a handshake? Nice little
No,
She's
side?
like
High
bump
five.
elbows.
Yeah.
He embraced, and then I forget if it was me or him, probably him because he was taller. He turned his back to the audience. So the idea was that there was plausible deniability that kiss would have happened.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a kiss. It's fine.
Yeah.
And there is a stage direction in the original play where he grabs her ass, and that was completely edited
Whoa.
out. So
I was in a production of Fiddler on the Roof,
Oh.
Or I played
That's a good one.
Seidel. And speaking of on-stage romance, I had the worst crush on the boy who played Model, and then we got married.
Oh.
It was a
Very
lot.
nice.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happened. He was not into me. So
Oh, but were you dying every
Aw.
time you got married on stage?
maybe a little.
There was very little
was fun.
acting, just a lot of like
Just
real
sitting here
feels.
just like, are we holding hands now? Oh, awkward teen, awkward teen.
I
Actually, my
played-
favorite. Sorry, I was gonna say my favorite one was actually we did Oliver, and I played the Mrs. Sourberry, and we didn't have a boy who would sing the part, so they made up the Sourberry sisters. So I got to split the song more evenly because they had to make it both for female voice, and that was wonderful because I had to be a villain. It was very entertaining.
Nice.
I got to faint into a coffin.
Then we did Harvey, which I had like a maid with one line. So I was mostly just like backstage to cheer everybody on for that one. And then we did a play that is, I believe, out of copyright. At least we couldn't figure out where to like who to contact for the rights, called Snafu, which was sort of a 40s situational comedy mystery type of thing.
Interesting.
And then I'm blanking on the fourth one. Here I am. I'm like, I have perfect memory, but here
Nah.
I have the poster in my little beside the desk here. What do we got?
Eric, do you have high school play stories? Did you not do that?
I played in a couple of plays. I wasn't particularly good at onstage drama or in the quad drama either. But I played two minor parts in the same play on two different stagings of Midsummer Night's Dream. I played Duke Theseus because I was the tallest person, and that made a lot of sense. And then, like, I was in like sixth grade, seventh grade, or something when I did that. And then I played Philostrate, who is Duke Theseus's assistant in high school, with the Duke, who was a good friend of mine and like 1 or 2 years older than me. And the funny thing is that I knew all his lines because I had played that role before, and he biffed his lines almost every time we performed. So I would be the one prompting him, which is hilarious because that's kind of what's supposed to be happening in the play. So yeah, it worked out well.
I have to note, Brian Cortijo mentions he played Mr. Sourberry, and he mentions their Fagin couldn't say rogue. So it's wrong to be a rogue in every way. I don't remember that line, but it does remind me that our Artful Dodger, the line is, no one tries to be something or uppity. It's a cup of tea for all. But she would say uppity, and then she'd say oopity and then coopity. Like she could not get it in her head. But once she'd done it, she's like, it has to rhyme. So coopity.
So I have two posters, and then also I have to show the audience this. Why do I have this? Why did I keep this? I don't
What?
know.
That looks like the worst magic card I've ever seen.
calculator.
Oh, it's a graphic calculator.
Hey, yeah.
She kept saying roosh.
I love it. If you don't want it, I'll take it. I will hang that shit up.
Sure, it's yours, man.
Sweet. Free graphing calculator
Take it up.
poster, suckers.
Take
What's
it up
the
to Seattle.
equation that produces that particular curve? That's what I want to know.
Lord
Is it
only
on the
knows.
poster? It should be. Never mind, it's
Let
fine.
me see.
Okay. So we have a special treat. Randy sent me a photo of him in Moulier
Yes.
in his high school play, and it is wonderful.
Oh, I see.
Are you gonna
I'm
put it up
about
on the
to.
screen?
I am. I'm putting it right next to Randy. Also, look at those frills.
Yeah.
Come on, delay.
Oh, the delay is getting us down.
But Randy, tell us about this photo. Tell us about this play.
Well, this one. So most of my theater time was in. I went to the Jefferson High in Portland, which was basically the performing arts magnet school there. But this was actually I went a year in Mount Lake Terrace when I moved up here. I think this was from there. I think I was playing Cleante, is that or something? Yep. And then
Man.
and that's Darina. I can't. Karina Conley.
Okay.
Can't believe I still remember that, but yep. And yeah.
Also, I agree with Doug. You kind of look like Davy Jones, like in a complimentary way. I don't know that there's a not complimentary way. Davy Jones is adorable.
Sure, thanks.
I would have died if they gave me a costume that good.
It is an amazing costume. Like, who is your costumer? You guys did not dress yourselves.
No.
There was no like, go to the thrift store, look for
here's
these
$10.
things.
So when I went to Jefferson in Portland, so like I said, it was they had magnet schools, right? Different schools concentrated on different things. Jefferson was the performing arts. So there was constantly there were dancers dancing. It was like Fame basically. And we had a huge theater, and there was what we called the dungeon underneath, which had like all of these tunnels, and that's where all the costuming was kept. And we'd always just go down there, try on all kinds of cool things, maybe slip away with a couple of things. But and then also I had to take makeup and mask class to learn how to create like beards and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun.
Spirit gum is the worst.
Spirit gum is the worst. So lots of skills that have come in so handy since then. But in my work as an international spy. But
the magnet school I went to, because it wasn't Portland School District, it was Beaverton, which is next door. So I was in the science magnet, and we had no stage in our building. So we would go to the arts magnet and use their stage, which seems fitting somehow. Of course, now the arts magnet moved to a fancy new building, and the science magnet is being folded into a school that's like larger and still academics focused, but not just like STEM. So.
And when you mentioned Harvey, by the way, that reminded me, I was in one of the children's ones I did was Velveteen Rabbit, and as the rabbits, we used pogo sticks. So I had to learn how to I became a master of the pogo stick. I could and of course, we'd go to these elementary schools, and their stages were like super small. So I'm hopping around along the edge of this stage on a pogo stick, man. Like, I am surprised that, it was just disaster waiting to happen. But luckily,
that sounds terrifying.
That sounds like high school theater. That tracks with my experience.
Yeah. Danger theater.
Yeah. They're like, you're young.
That's right.
Break an ankle, you'll be back in 6 weeks. It's fine.
Exactly.
You bounce at that age.
Literally, yeah.
I see Eric still talking about Vampire the Masquerade.
I wanted to
passionately
talk about Vampire, but there's been no way to insert.
Got nothing to add, so I'm gonna keep it going. So you're gonna have to push in.
And we're at a disadvantage with Erin because she doesn't have all those gaming background. So
I never
honest,
played
I'm
Vampire.
not terribly
really.
interested in vampires in general.
Oh man,
I read the
But
books.
werewolf is cool. I like werewolf also.
I'm surprised, really.
we could totally do a short run adventure where we totally wreck our channel by doing a vampire werewolf mage mashup. I'm just saying. That's the worst thing you can do with the White Wolf properties is try and fit all of that together, but it could be fun.
I don't understand. You have to explain that to me. Like, why would it be a disaster for those three?
Yes, I'm curious.
The easiest way I can put it is that see how I turned the conversation back to the White Wolf games? It's great.
Yes, that was well done.
I told you, do that.
Yeah.
See, basically all three of those systems are very, very different, and they're very focused on a very different experience. And so you would basically have three sets of players who are all trying to do radically different things, and it would just be even more nuts than a typical Vampire the Masquerade game.
Oh, the game system so my favorite, one of my top 3 games on the Sega Genesis was Shadowrun, the Genesis version of Shadowrun.
That's a good one.
But I have never played the TTRPG. I've always wanted to, but I've never done that. So that would be something I'd be down for at some point. But
my
sure.
first job in the world of publishing, I worked for a small press called Paraspora. That was run by a couple, Carwin Long and Jack Koki. And Jack wrote Shadowrun novels back in the day. And the first book we put out was an Earth Dawn novel. And Earth Dawn was the setting that kind of came the prehistory of Shadowrun.
Yeah.
And I had never heard of any of these things. But that was one of my first crash courses into a role-playing world. Because I was I had to go copy edit this book, and I'm like, I don't know any of this stuff.
I always forget that you knew Jack
Jackson.
Cokie, because I know
Yeah.
him
Right?
through doing paneling at local conventions.
I know Jack Cook. Everyone knows Jack Cook. And Jack and Carolyn moved down to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, then so I haven't seen him for
Yeah.
years. Hadn't been
Yes.
doing the local cons.
Who's
Okay,
their
so 6:25.
baby intern?
We gotta go play the recap in a little bit. But Eric, last thought: Vampire the Masquerade. Anything else you want to share? Dying to share before we go?
Why? But when you,
Dying
mentioned,
to share. Ah, okay.
when you mentioned doing a mashup of those three, for some weird reason, I was like, and set it in the Fountainhead. For some weird reason, I don't know why, but like,
Look, if we did that,
So you
I'm
like a
pretty sure
challenge?
we would just
Yeah.
be going. We would just be going around and killing all of Ayn Rand's characters.
yeah,
just,
yeah, right.
Oh my
just
God.
murdering all of them ruthlessly.
I don't know. Yeah. But okay.
On
We'll
that
be back in 4 minutes.
Excellent.
New lighting, who dis? So the irregulars in Fane found themselves in a bit of a bind, given that the Angral was now gone, which meant the Night Masks had it, which meant, unfortunately, that the Ritual of Night, or whatever it's called, was soon to come. Oops. Not sure what to do about it. The irregulars, well, they did what they could. They found the items needed to cast Legend Lore, which is a good spell. It's a good spell. Yeah, it's a good spell. Unfortunately, Legend Lore is cryptic as heck. Super duper cryptic. So it only gave them a smattering of information. So what else could they do? They used the rest of their day to go shopping. Now, to be fair, Sturge did not go shopping. Not technically and not at first. He went to talk to Mirren and see if Mirren had something in that little cubbyhole of hers that could help defeat the Night King. Of course, opening the cubbyhole, it turned out that, well, that necromantic dagger that was inside was animated, I guess, and it tried to stab Sturge before flying out a window. Sturge misty stepped after it onto a rooftop nearby and watched it as it flew into the Temple District. That was when he went to speak to one of his contacts. Now, this contact happened to be a chestnut vendor, and apparently fomenting civil unrest and bringing orcs and Githyanki into the city tends to have an impact on chestnut sales. Go figure. Sturge bought out her entire stock in order to get the information he needed, but he was able to get some measure of information on where the possible Night Mask activity in the Temple District would be. Meanwhile, the rest of the irregulars, minus Artemisia, who was still doing some research in the ring, all went to talk to Rogar's secret Red Wizard friend. Now, Rogar didn't know they were a Red Wizard, but I think he knows now. They were there for two things. The first, an amulet that could help with a possible spell or ritual that could potentially help stop the coming of night. Maybe. The other, and I'm not sure why, was a shield of missile attraction. A cursed object that Stong wants very badly, and I have no clue why. Go figure. Now, there was a bit of a weird back and forth between Cecilia and the Red Wizard, but I know there's some animosity there, just culturally speaking. But there's still a lot to do, and not a lot of time to do it in before the ritual, which is tonight. I guess we'll see how that goes. I really don't want to have to move again.